Good day, class. For today's lesson, we're going to tackle chapter 2.2, direct, inverse, and partitive proportions for business mathematics. Okay, so direct proportions, we consider two quantities, say x and y, that are related into such a way that if the value of x changes, then the value of y also changes, such that the ratio y over x is a constant, so say k. Okay, so thus the value of x and y are related by an equation of the form y equals k times x, wherein k is not equal to 0. Okay, so in this case, we say that y and x are directly proportional, or that y is directly proportional to x, or that y and x are in a direct proportion. Okay, so take that class, in direct proportion, if x and y changes, so it is directly proportional or direct proportional. Okay. So, the number k, so ano ba yung value dito ng k? Or ano po ba yung ibig sabihin dito ng k? So, the number k is called the constant of proportionality. A direct proportion is also called a direct variation, and the constant k is also known as the constant variation. Okay, so observe that the relation between two quantities which are in a direct proportion is defined by a simple linear function. The following examples illustrates quantities that are directly proportional to each other and how direct proportion can be used to solve common problems. Okay, so let's proceed to the given examples related to direct proportions. Okay, so examples, number 1. The circumference of a circle can be computed from the formula. Okay, so ito po yung formula ang gagamitin if circumference of a circle, C equals 2 pi r, where C, the letter C is the circumference, and R denotes the radius. Ito po is pi. We see that the circumference is directly proportional to the radius, and the constant of proportionality is, okay, so ito class example number 1, pinapakita lang po dito kung example po ba ito ng direct proportion, which is k equals 2 pi. Okay, so yung sa ano po to class, sa circumference of a circle. Okay, so let's proceed to the second example. If eggs are sold at 2 pesos for 6 pieces, then the ratio of the price to the number of eggs is 200. Okay, so ano to class? I-edit nyo na lang po, or i-correct na lang, 27 over 6. Okay, hindi ko na divide. 27 over 6 equals 9 over 2. Okay, so we have 4.5. Okay, so that k equals 4.5 and y equals 4.5x. Okay, so given po to class ha, given po to, the ratio is 27 over 6 equals 9 over 2. Okay, so where x is the number of eggs, okay, so 4.5x, where x is the number of eggs and y is the cost in pesos of x eggs. Okay, here 4.5 represents 4.50 pesos, which is the price of 1 egg. Okay, so ito na class, using the above equation, the cost of 2 dozen eggs is given by, okay, so ito class, saan po to galing na 4.5? Galing po dito, 27 over 6 equals 9 over 2, so cross-multiply nyo lang po siya, cross-multiplication, we have the result will be 4.5, so y equals 4.5x equals 4.5 times 24. Okay, so now, saan po ba galing yung 24? So we have yung 2 dozens, okay? So, diba, 12 times 2, we have 24. So, 4.5 times 24, we have 108, since 2 dozen is equivalent to, okay, so ayan class, 2 times 12 equals 24 pieces. Okay, so hence, 24 eggs would cost 108 pesos. Okay. So, ito class ha, pinapakita lang po dito or pinapakita lang po dito yung example under direct proportion. Okay. So, example number 3. If a car covers a distance of 240 kilometers in 3 hours by traveling at a constant speed, how far can it go in 5 hours if it also travels at a constant speed? So again, if a car covers a distance of 240 kilometers in 3 hours by traveling at a constant speed, how far can it go in 5 hours if it also travels at a constant speed? Okay, so for our solution, if we take the ratio of distance to time, then we get the constant speed of the car. If we let y represents the distance in kilometers, okay, so let y represents the distance in kilometers, and let x represent the time in hours. So we have k equals y over x. Okay, so ito po yung gagamitin natin ha, na formula. So, k equals y over x. So, yung y is distance in kilometers over x, which represents the time in hours. So, the value for y is 240 kilometers. Okay, so yun po yung distance ha. Distance in kilometers. So, 240 over x, which is 30. So, saan po galing class yung 30? We have 5 times 3. Okay, so ayan class. In 3 hours, then, how far can it go in 5 hours? So, 5 times 3, we have 30. So, divide 240 divided by 30. We have 80 km per hour, which is the constant speed of the car. Okay? So, the relation between distance and time may be described by the equation. So, we have y equals 80x. Okay? So, yun po yung nakuha natin dito kanina. So, yan na po yung value ng y. Y equals 80x. And the distance that the car can travel in 5 hours. Okay, so ito na po kasi yung final answer natin. So, the question is, how far can it go in 5 hours? So, yung solution natin dito, 80 times 5 rather. 80 times 5, we have, the final answer will be 400 kilometers. Okay? Okay, so let's proceed to the inverse proportions. Okay, so when two quantities x and y are related in such a way that the product of their values is a constant, that is, there exists a non-zero constant k such that xy equals k, then we say that x and y are inversely proportional to each other, or that x and y are in inverse proportion. So, parang ano lang class, inverse, binaliktad, okay? If k is positive, then the value of y increases as x decreases, and vice versa. Inverse proportions are also called inverse variations. Okay, so let's proceed to the given example. Okay, so in chemistry, Boyle's law states that hindi ko makabasa sa gilid na kasi natatabunan ng screen record. Gas of given mass exerts pressure P, which is inversely proportional to the volume of space V occupied by the gas. So, in equation form, Boyle's law is given by, so ito po yung formula for Boyle's law. We have P times V equals K. Okay, so yung K po ito is the constant. Okay, so suppose it takes 4 pipes 70 minutes to fill a water tank. How long will it take to fill the tank if 7 pipes are used? Okay, so we have 4, 5, 70 minutes to fill a water tank. How long it will take to fill the tank if 7 pipes are used? Okay, so for our solution, okay, so an increase in the number of pipes used will result to a decrease in the amount of time needed to fill the tank. Thus, the number of pipes used and the amount of time to do the task are inverse proportion, and the product of their values is a constant. So, if we let x represent the unknown time, then we have, okay, so we have 4 times 70. So, saan po galing yung 4? We have here 4 pipes, then times 70, 70 minutes equals 7x, okay? So, saan po galing class yung 7x? Ito po yung, we let x represents the unknown time. So, how long will it take to fill the tank if 7 pipes? Okay, so ito po, 7x. Okay, kasi siya po yung pinapahanap or unknown time equals 280. So, saan po kalas galing yung 280? So, 4 times 70 is 280. So, our x will be, so cross multiplication tayo class. So, we have x equals 280 divided by 7. Okay, so 280 divided by 7, we have 40. So, which shows that it will take 40 minutes to fill the tank with water using 7 pieces. Okay? Ito po class yung example ng inverse proportion. Okay? So, an increase in the number of pipes used will result to a decrease in the amount of time needed to fill the tank. Okay? So, bumaba po. Okay? So, tumaas yung number of pipes, pero yung result will decrease the amount of time needed to fill the tank. So, this is one of the example of inverse proportion. Okay, so let's proceed to example number 3. If a car salesman drives at a constant rate of 60 kilometers per hour, it takes him 2.5 hours to drive from one city to another. How long will it take him to cover the same distance if he were to drive at a constant rate of 80 kilometers per hour? Assuming the same road conditions. Okay, so ayan class ha, constant rate of 60 kilometers per hour, then it takes him 2.5 hours to drive from one city to another. Okay, then the question is, how long will it take him to cover the same distance if he were to drive at a constant rate of 80 kilometers per hour, assuming the same road conditions? Okay, so for our solution, distance, rate, and time are related by the equation. Since given po yung, of course, based from the given examples, distance, rate, and time are related. So, the formula that we're going to use is D equals rate times time. Okay, so R times T. So, since the distance to be covered is the same, the rate and the time are inversely proportional. Okay, so hence, we have, so 2.5, saan po class yung 2.5? So, galing po siya class doon sa rate, which is 2.5, times 60, which is, okay, so, baliktad. So, 2.5 is the hour, okay, so, or the time, and then 60 is the rate, okay? So, 2.5 times 60, we have, equals T times 80, okay? So, saan po galing yung 80? Okay, dito. If he were to drive at a constant rate of 80, so T times 80, okay, so we have 2.5 times 60, we have 150. Okay, so 80 times T equals 150, then cross multiplication tayo, we have T equals 150 over 80. Again, saan po class galing yung 150? Galing po sa result ng 2.5 times 60. Then, yung 80 po class galing dito. Okay, so, constant rate of 80 kilometers per hour. Then, ito na po yung, ito na po, how long it will take. So, we have 1.875 hours. Okay, so another example po to class ng inversely proportional. Kasi, habang tumataas po yung rate, constant rate ng salesman driving, so bumababa po yung time or yung hours na ginagamit niya. Okay, so from 2.5 we have down to 1.875 hours. Okay, so we have partitive proportions. When a quantity is divided into two or more parts such that the parts are in a definite ratio with each other, then the quantities representing the parts are said to be in partitive proportions. So, partitive. Okay, so divided into two or more equal parts. Okay, so to solve problems involving partitive proportions, we usually equate the sum of the parts to the whole quantity. So this is illustrated in the following example. Okay, so example number 1. 3 investors invented a total amount of 765,000 pesos in a business in the ratio of 2:3:4. So how much was the biggest investment? Okay, so we have 2:3:4. So yung pinapahanap sa atin is the biggest investment. Okay, so for our solution, the entire amount may be divided into 9 equal parts. If we let x denote the amount of each part, so then the amount invested may be represented by, okay, so we have class, okay, so saan galing tong 2x, 3x, and 4x dito po sa ratio? We have 2:3:4. So, may x tayo class kasi yun po yung hahanapin natin. So, amount of each part. So, 2x, 3x, and 4x respectively. Okay, so saan po class galing yung 9? 9x. So, i-add lang natin yung tatlong ratio. We have 2x plus 3x plus 4x. We have 9x equals. So, equate na natin siya class the total amount of invested. We have 765,000 pesos. So, we have x, okay, so cross-multiply natin. We have x equals 765,000 pesos divided by 9. Okay, so ito po class, cross-multiply po natin. So, i-divide nyo lang. The result, 765,000 pesos divided by 9. The result will be 85,000 pesos. Okay, so hindi pa po yan. Ang pinapahanap sa atin is the biggest investment. So that the biggest invested is, okay, so since pinakamataas yung 4, so yun po yung kukunin natin. So, 4x equals, so copy 4, then yung x papalitan natin ng 85,000 pesos, then multiply. So, the biggest investment will be 340,000 pesos. Okay, so ito po yung example ng partitive proportion. Okay, so, equal, okay, so dito, ano yung meaning ng partitive natin? So, the quantity is divided into 3 parts, okay? So, yun po yung partitive equation. So, let's proceed to our next example. A man plans to donate his collection of 3,042 books to 3 libraries in the ratio of 1:3:5. Okay, so, collection of 3,042 books. How many books will each library receive from his donation? Okay, so meaning, from the ratio of 1:3:5, in each, ilan kaya yung marireceive nila na donation for a total of 3,042 books? Okay, for our solution, okay, so the number of books that the 3 libraries will receive may be represented by x. So, we have x, so yung 1, so, equal na po yung class sa x. Then, yung 3 maging 3x and 5 will be 5x respectively. So that, okay, so i-add lang natin yan lahat. We have x plus 3x plus 5x, we have 9x. Then, since pinapahanap is yung each library will receive his donation. So, i-add lang natin yung class, 9x plus 3,442. So, yung total books po to class. So, we have x equals, so, cross-multiply lang natin class. We have 3,000, ay, bakit to plus? Hindi siya class plus. Cross-multiplication, we have x equals 3,042 pesos, pesos books pala. Over, okay, so dito class 4, dapat 9. So, namali ata yung pag-input ko. So, 3,042 divided by 9. Okay, so dito po siya class 9. So, the result, or the result will be 338. Okay, so, hindi pa yun. Hahanapin natin class is, each library will receive his donation. So, this shows that the 3 libraries will receive 338 books. So, 3 times 38. Okay, so ito po class yung sa first, yung ito sa 1. Okay, so yung marireceive niya is 338 books. So, yung sa 3, ratio of 3. So, i-times lang natin siya by 338. So, the library will receive 1,014 books. And yung 5, multiply lang natin by 338. So, this will receive 1,690 books respectively. So, pag in-add natin to class lahat-lahat, so, i-try natin i-add 338 plus 1,014 plus 1,690. So, the result will be 3,042 books. Okay, so, ito po yung respectively or each library will receive. Okay, so, yung first, 338, yung second, 1,014, and yung last, 690 books. Okay? So, okay. So, example number 3. The number of persons who attended the premiere can be divided into 9 equal parts, and 2 of these parts are made up of children. Okay, so if x represents one part, then we have 2x. Okay, so saan class galing yung 2x? Dito po, 2 of these parts. Okay, so 2x equals 236. Okay, so ito po class na 236 given na po ito dito sa problem. Okay, so x equals 118. So saan galing? So 236 divide nyo lang by 2. We have 118. Okay, so x equals 118. Okay, so class, ito pong 236 is given na po dito sa problem. Wala kasing nakalagay. Okay, so maybe given na po siya dyan sa problem. Okay, so thus, the total number of persons in the audience who attended the premiere is, okay, so 9x. Okay, so ito 9 equal parts. So 9x equals 9 times 115. Okay, so i-multiply lang natin yan, class. We have 1,062 persons. Okay, so this is the total number of persons who attended the premiere. Okay, so we have joint and combined variations. Aside from direct, inverse, and partitive proportions or variations, there are 2 other types of variations which may appear less frequently than the first 3 types. Okay, so itong joint and combined, limited lang itong lumalabas sa mga given problem or example. Okay, pero minsan lumalabas naman to, so therefore ipapahapyo natin to. Okay, so these are joint variations and combined variations. So, if one quantity is directly proportional to the product of 2 or more other quantities, then the quantities involved are said to be jointly proportional or are in joint variation. Okay, so ito po yung definition of joint variation. Then, on the other hand, if one quantity varies directly with one or more quantities, and inversely with at least one other quantity, then the quantities are said to form a combined variation. Okay, so let's proceed to the given example. Number 1, the kinetic energy of an object in motion is given by the formula. So, K times E equals 1/2 m times v squared. So, ito class, example lang naman to class ng joint and combined variation, where Ke or K times E is the kinetic energy, m is the mass of the object, and v is its object is jointly proportional to its mass and the square of its velocity with 1/2 as the constant of proportionality. Okay, so example number 2. Suppose it is known that a quantity z varies directly with the second quantity x and inversely with the product of 2 quantities y and v. Okay, so letter A, find the equation that defines the variation. And letter B, if z equals 5, when x equals 30, y equals 12, and v equals 10, find the constant of proportionality, then determine the value of x when v equals 10, y equals 2, and z equals 12. Okay. So let's proceed first to letter A. Okay, so solution for letter A, since z varies directly with x and inversely with the product of y and v, we have the equation z equals k times x. Okay, so parang ano to, parang YV, parang ano to, division ata. So, where K is the constant proportionality. Okay, so ayun. Ano to class? KX divided by YV. So, namali ako sa pag-encode. Okay, so Z equals KX over YV. So, substituting the given values into the equation. So, ito po class, saan to galing itong mga value? Given po to kanina, yung value, okay? So, yung Z, the value for Z is 3 equals, so yung K is 30, then, yung X is K, over yung Y is 12, and yung V is 10. Okay, so, isolve natin. Okay, so, 30 Then, 12 times 4, i-subtract natin. Then, cross-multiply natin, class. So, the result will be 5 equals k over 4, or cross-multiply. 5 times 4, we have 20 equals k. So, the value for k is 20. So, the specific formula defining the variation is z equals 20x over yv. Hence, for the second part, we just substituting the given values to obtain the values of x. Thus, okay, so yung kanina naman class na given for x is 12. So, 12 equals 20x. So, yun na nakuha na po natin dito kanina class. So, 20x over, yung given din kanina na value for y is 12, at 2 rather, tapos yung sa v is 10. So, simplify lang natin siya class, cross-multiply. I-multiply nyo muna 2 times 10, then the result is divide nyo 20 over the result. And cross-multiply nyo class, so we have 12 equals x, or x equals 12. Okay, so that's all for today's video lesson class. So I hope that you learned from this video. And if ever you have a question regarding to our topic for today, you may ask me through Messenger or on our GC. Okay, bye class, and see you in our next video lesson.